Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is the first video I'm making after the conclusion of debut album January 2026, which I had a great time making. I don't have anything to review today, but what I do have to do today is basically, tell you how I feel like last year went in terms of like the quality of the content. Relatively, I know the content that I make on here is utter dog shit because it's not edited, it's all done in one take, and most of the time I'm looking at my notes and not making eye contact with the camera. But I'm gonna look at how I feel like last year went, and then I'm going to tell you some of the things, not everything, because in all honesty, I don't know everything that's coming up this year, because I haven't thought about it yet. But that's basically how it's gonna go. Like a year in review and a channel update, basically. Last year, I think the first 2 months were very clearly me trying to find if I, still enjoyed doing this after the Pink Floyd completion project, because I enjoyed the entirety of the vast majority of the Pink Floyd completion project, at the very least making the videos. Listening to some of the albums closer to the end, especially on the Roger Waters side, not so much. Some of the live albums, it kind of felt like I was listening to the same thing over and over and over again, but that's 2 years ago. So January and February, those were debut album January and final album February. Obviously, those two themes have quite a bit in common. And I just did debut album January again, obviously. So that one has obviously survived. I don't know if I'm gonna do it next year. More than likely. But that's like that theme is around to stay. What is not happening this year is final album February. Mostly because I don't own any final albums, and I try to keep these themed months to where I own all of the albums that I'm going to review, because I feel like last year when I reviewed albums that I didn't own, I wound up taking the same thumbnail, posting the same thumbnail about 40 times, so that's not great. Having the album in the actual thumbnail, having at least a CD in the actual thumbnail, it just makes it look better. It doesn't correlate to views, and I know that for a fact. I know that basically nobody is going to watch this. But I'm just making it for my own sake. Basically, that's what this whole channel is. It's me making it for my own sake. I feel like if I could edit, I would actually have an audience. So final album February is not coming back this year. What is coming back this year, what is coming in the next 3 weeks of February, the 3 remaining weeks of February after this video, is follow-up February, although I'm not going to call it that in the videos. More than likely, that's just kind of the theme. The first thing in follow-up February is going to be another Genesis video. I know, or not the first thing, maybe like the second thing in follow-up February, but the one thing that I know I want to make is follow-up, is a Genesis video. And that is going to be a follow-up to my Calling All Stations review. It's a portion that might have been included in that video if at the time my internet hadn't been so god-awful, because I feel like if I had touched on that, even briefly, even for like 5 minutes, like that video would have gone to half an hour. And I'm still really proud of that video. I still think that is one of the best videos I've ever made. Granted, there's not a whole lot I can do when I don't have an editing software. That's unfortunate. But in terms of how I expressed myself, in terms of how I told the story, in terms of how I defended that album, that is one of my best videos, in my opinion. So it's going to be a follow-up to that, and it's originally going to be it was originally going to be a segment, but now I'm like, I feel like there's enough in that follow-up to warrant its own video. And if you watched that video and you know me, I think you can kind of gather what that is. But yeah, that's what's coming. And then sticking with the follow-up theme, I'm going to be looking at albums that came directly after albums I've already reviewed. So like, there's an album by The Doors I'm going to review, and then I think I'm also going to review an album by Shinedown. I think I've spoken about Shinedown at least 3 times on this channel already, and I know for a fact I've spoken about Nickelback twice. Probably not going to review any Nickelback this year, and that is because another thing that's going to happen on this channel this year is, and this is going to sound weird coming out of the guy who talks about British music 95% of the time. This year is America's 250th anniversary, 250th birthday. I am a proud American, and I love this country, so at least one album I review every month, is going to be made by an American band. In July, we have a new themed month, which was always going to be the case, but originally it was going to be something different than it is this year, but I'm holding off on the original idea until next year. July is going to be Murica month. Every video that month will be about an American album. Pretty self-explanatory, and I feel like that'll be fun. So, I'm going to have at least 25%, American music on this channel, but, technically more than that, but it's not going to be more than a third, more than likely, because most of the music I listen to is British, unfortunately. Or not unfortunately. Most of the music I listen to is British. That's just how it happens, because they were really fucking good at it in the 70s. In terms of Conceptember and Masterpiece May, I'm more than likely bringing those back. I'm definitely bringing back Masterpiece May. Conceptember is a little bit more on the maybe side, but it's still like 95% that I'm going to bring that back. So yeah, a lot of themed months this year. What I'm more than likely not going to do this year is when December rolls around, I'm more than likely not going to theme the whole month around Christmas, because, the year, like this past Christmas, obviously, this past December, my videos were honestly awful. Like, even by the standards on this very low-quality channel, those videos were awful. They were bad. It was just not made very well, not planned very well. I think I only reviewed one album, maybe, if you could even consider that an album, the Christopher Lee thing. I was going to review another one, but then I thought, no. So that's how that's going to go. In terms of, Pink Floyd, more than likely not going to talk about them at all this year. I talked about them 3 times last year. Once was the What Would a Pink Floyd Biopic Look Like, which was a very fun video to speculate on. And then the other 2 were obviously the brief return of the Pink Floyd Completion Project. It obviously wasn't like it was before, and I think those videos were much better before. So basically everything Pink Floyd related is off the table for now. If I get an editing software, I'll be honest, if, you know what? No, I'm going to hold off on that. I'll leave that a surprise on what happens if I get an editing software, or when I get an editing software, but the content will definitely improve. And in terms of making a video every single week, that is only guaranteed to happen in the themed months. And I'm going to tell you why that is. Last year, my New Year's resolution was make a video every week. It was a pain in the ass sometimes, but I got it done. This year, more than likely, that is not going to happen. That's not to say, in the non-themed months, that's not to say in March or April I'm going to be just totally black, but those are very much only going to be those are very much going to be times when I feel like looking at an album because I want to, not because I feel like I have to, and that will cut down on the number of what I call schedule fillers or week fillers. There's videos where, because I talked about Tenacious D, Rise of the Phoenix, an album that nobody gives a shit about in the year 2026. It's an album that nobody, thinks about in the year in, the year 2026 or 2025 when I reviewed it. Like, and it was just, like, it's stuff like that where, like, and you can tell sometimes I'm just not into it. There is one video that I made last year, which was the Squacket video, the Life Within a Day video, the one with Steve, where it's talking about the collaboration between Steve Hackett and Chris Squire. That video suffered from, because of outside circumstances. I had a minor health thing. And so I was very tired that day. And so that's what led that video to being not nowhere near as good as it could have been, even within these very low standards. Because I guess my heart was just not in it, and instead of waiting till the next day to film it and just getting the video out of the day late, I was just like, nope, I gotta make it today. And so that was the problem. But yeah, so that's how it's looking for the year to come. One more thing, Genesis. I know I already touched on this. Apart from the follow-up to the Calling All Stations video, there is at the very least, one more Genesis album that I am looking at this year, and that will be in May, and you can probably make an educated guess on what it is, because I already reviewed Selling England by the Pound. So, yeah, there's only a couple albums that it could be in Masterpiece May, when I've already reviewed that album. So, yeah. Thank you all very much for watching. If you care, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like on it. If you have any ideas for what I could do for content this year, please feel free to do so in the comment section down below. If you're excited for the content coming this year, and have just come across this channel, feel free to subscribe. And then that way you won't be missing out. If you want to hear me talk about something other than music, I have a podcast with two of my buddies called Dorkies. I will leave a link to the latest episode of that in the description down below. And if you want to hear what I happen to be listening to that day, you can follow me on Instagram. I will leave a link to that in the description down below. And, yeah, with that, I would like to remind you all to stay weird and keep jamming. See you next week. Take care.